mental health at the moment is huge. Like it's growing at a scary velocity. My mum left me when I was 17. I've not seen her in 25 years. Do you know what I mean? Like I've had a bit of grief. I got thrown through a window at school. I got hit with chairs. People didn't just call me names. And I was told that, you know, martial arts isn't a job, isn't a real business. It will never make money. It's a stupid thing to follow, which was the driving force I needed to say, actually, I'm gonna go for it.
Hi, Carl. Welcome to the show today. Now, your business, you help inspire people, you help keep them fit, you keep them healthy, particularly young people, actually. That seems to be a real mission of yours. So you spend a lot of time doing that. But I think my question for you, and maybe you don't get asked this enough, and certainly probably man to man, you know, like, how are you?
Hello. Thank you for having me on. And wow, what a question to go straight in on. As a rule, I'd like to sound pretty good. You know, we talk about a lot with the team. As a rule, you know, I function at a 9 out of 10 most of the time.
Yeah.
I could always be better. Everyone could always be better. And you're right. Not many people ask, because everyone is always like, oh, Cole's always happy. He's always positive. He's always driven. You know, he's always smiling. And then I think what I do is I crash. So I'll be a 9 out of 10, a 10 out of 10. And then once a month, I just go, boom. And it's almost like someone's took the battery out. And it normally takes a day to kind of recharge. If I'm really honest, today's one of them days. I had about 3 hours sleep. Rain woke me up. Just saying to my ops manager, I had some really bad night. I don't ever dream, ever. I probably dream like twice a year, and that's not an exaggeration. And I had some nightmares last night, so I woke up with a really bad headache. Now, I know this might sound, woe is Cole, but I've had really shit sleep. I had some nightmares. I don't know what they're about. I've got a really pain there. And we've got some staff off as well. So I've had to do some really early morning paperwork, come and teach female only kickboxing, which I love. But I feel like today I'm a 3 out of 10. So I'm probably having one of them days today. But what happens is I tend to crash for like a day, and then I get a reasonable night's sleep, and then I'm back up to my 9 out of 10. And then I kind of tell myself, look, come on, pull your pants up, stop moaning. you've had your little period, now crack on.
Yeah. I mean, people do pendulum, don't they? I mean, I have heard this, and I probably have the same, that I generally come across happy, motivated, excited, and I am. But that means when I'm low, it pendulums completely the other way. And it is just getting yourself out of that. Are you saying sleep is a good one for you?
Sleep is a good one. The problem is I don't sleep. I'm an insomniac. So if I have 4 or 5 hours a night, then I'm good. Like, that's a good night's sleep for me, unbroken sleep. It is getting better as I'm getting older, but I've had 15 years, and no exaggeration, I'd have 3 or 4 hours of sleep a night back to back for weeks, and I can still function normally. And people's like, how the hell? Since I was a child, I've, you know, gone to bed at midnight, woke up at 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, and I'm good. Like, that's enough sleep for me. And then people are like, oh, you know, you're going to run yourself into the ground, you're going to be really ill. Well, I feel all right. I generally feel all right. Now, don't get me wrong. If I get more sleep, I do feel better, of course.
Yeah. But
I'm not like, you know, when people go, oh, I've only had 4 hours sleep and the world's going to implode. I'm not one of them by any shape or means. It's interesting you say about the pendulum, because I've been learning a little bit about this. Because a lot of people say to me, or a lot of mentors will say, you've got to get balance in your life. You've got to get balance in your life. But yes, you will have balance. But when you add something, it tips the scales. You're never, ever going to get perfect harmony in your life, whether it be your wife, your husband, your kids, the school, work, finances, how. It doesn't matter what. You've always got balance. So stress will load your body or load your life, and then you balance it back. But it's not just going to go like this. It's going to go like that. So something I've learned over the last couple of years, more than anything else, certainly within business, is I used to go, oh, I just want it to be normal for a year. I just want a normal year. Like, we've had 9 moons in 15 years as HKA. And every year I go, I just want I don't want to move. I don't want to reinvent something. I don't want a new website. I just want a normal business for 1 year. And every single
Yeah.
year something comes along and does that.
Yeah.
So what I'm learning now is there's no such thing as balance. There's no such thing as equilibrium or whatever the word is. It's just about getting these about right. And they're going to
Yeah.
do that. And sometimes they'll do that. One of your children will go, I'm moving to Wales, for example, which is what's just happened with one of my daughters. And you go, whoa.
Yeah.
And then it comes back. And yeah, I don't believe now that there's any such thing as a perfect harmony or balance. It's just balancing them scales to not tip too far in either direction.
Yeah. So it can go, high one end, but then you need to start to counterbalance. I guess a bit like, I mean, we're talking about exercise and things like that. It's fine to go to the gym, work out really hard, do that max rep, whatever it is. But then you need to rest, which is your recovery, and that's where the growth happens. There's nothing wrong with going hard, but you need to balance it out with some rest. You couldn't go and do the hardest, strongest bench press or your heaviest bench press, 5 times a day, every day for weeks and weeks and weeks. You need to let your body recover.
100%. We say to my fighters all the time, certainly when they're in fight camp, they want to constantly push. And if they have one day off, obviously they feel like they're being really lazy. I'm like, but you need your body to recover. So, I mean, if you keep going, you will burn out. If you redline an engine constantly, eventually it will blow up. So,
Yeah.
You've got to have the right balance again of pushing your body hard, stressing your body. For us, we don't really lift. I mean, my max bench is like 40 kilos. Like, I don't lift heavy
Yeah.
at all.
No.
I pick up 2 kilo weights and they get heavy after a while. But for us, it's revving the engine as in your heart and lungs. Like the fighters need to be fit. They need to be fit. I've seen fit, bad fighters beat a really skilled fighter, but they just haven't had a good cardio. They haven't had good heart and lungs.
No.
So that we have to rev our engines with cardio high. But obviously, if you keep doing that, eventually they'll burn out. So it goes back to the right balance of push in and then bringing it back again, push in and bringing it back. And it's a hard balance.
Yeah. Yeah, like you say, when you're training for something, certainly fighters, they've got their eye on that fight, the end goal, and they just want to keep improving. And actually sitting back and having a day off almost feels counterproductive, but it's not.
Yeah. And I've literally just had a few days away, and to start with, I was kicking myself because in business, I was being lazy. I was like, I'm having a couple of days away and I'm going to do nothing. We literally went to the middle of nowhere, 15 miles away from anything. I couldn't do anything. And for a couple of days, it killed me because I'm being lazy. I could be doing this. I could be working on this. I could be improving that. I purposely didn't take my laptop with me, so I couldn't work either. And then after like the third and fourth day, I was like, okay, something's changing a little bit. And I don't normally do this, by the way. And then I started creating a space, created a void. Now, I did fill that void, but I've now created in my head the next structure, the next step of the business ready for next year. But that wouldn't have happened if I didn't stop, if I didn't take that time.
Yeah.
And that
you say creating that void. Do you think that downtime just allows some space? Because as business owners, quite often our head is full. We're thinking about all the growth things we want to do, but equally that problem from this morning and the problem that's going to crop up tomorrow, and that there's no space in your head for these new ideas.
100%. Like even this morning, today's meant to be like my day off. Do you know what I mean? But I've already done probably 15 mini tasks. They're nothing important, nothing serious, but it's just noise. I've got to go and do that. I need to pick that up. I need to email them back. I need to email the accountant these receipts. All these little things that just take 5 minutes, but it's noise. So a friend of mine said, I'm going away. We've booked a villa. If you want to come, come. And I made every excuse under the sun why I couldn't go. Oh, work, business, staff, can't afford it, all the usual stuff. And then basically said, look, it's going to cost you the flights. Just get there. So I was like, okay, cool. I gave him some money, but the idea was it was a cheap weekend. But I've never gone away and done nothing. I always do something. So I specifically created a void, and it was weird, really strange. But after a couple of days, it allowed time, it allowed some freedom, it allowed some thinking space to go, okay, well, I've been thinking about this idea for a year, but I've never had the time to work it out. So I've now worked out this new idea. I've written out the structure. I've written out the program. I've written out how it's going to work. I can't tell you what it is yet because
No,
we're not
yeah.
releasing it till next year. But the plan is next year that will be the next big step or next evolution of HKA, which I'm really looking forward to. I'm really excited about. But I couldn't have done that if I forced myself to do nothing.
No. Yeah, it's trying to create some space. And you're right. When I go away, actually, I probably don't allow that process long enough to actually completely switch off, because what I get is, even on, within 24 hours of being on holiday, getting a little bit twitchy. There's a bit of anxiety. So I check my emails, and I just like to check in, and then I can relax for another
Yeah.
24 hours. But then it starts to creep back up, and then I, you know, give into it. But actually, maybe that fighting through is where the growth happens. Actually, it's the same, fighting through. That is, I guess, a lot of the time people want to give up, don't they? Oh, this is tough. Actually, going through is what makes you the winner.
Yeah. Yeah. And it sounds stupid. And a lot of people watch this might go, that sounds nuts. But it was so difficult to switch off and to really not get sucked in to what I normally do. Because
Yeah.
every minute of every day is, what can I do? How can I improve? How can I make someone's life better? How can I improve my staff? How can I improve my coaches? How can I improve the business that we've got? I always want to make it better, even if it's 1%.
Mm.
So to go, no, I'm not going to answer the emails. No, I'm not going to reply to that Facebook message. No, I'm not going to deal with whatever needs dealing with. Like, I don't know, the toilets were blocked. Do you know what I mean? Like stuff like that. I'm like, I've got an ops manager. I'm not in the country. Deal with it.
Yeah. Yeah, it is really tough. I mean, I feel you, and yeah, for people who can switch off easily, I sort of think that must be bliss, because my head's always got something going on. But there are certain things we can do, I guess, to try and switch out of that. And exercise is one of them. I know that, and you must see that among some of the young people that you work with, that actually is a bit of an escape from the general life in their head, and all things like that, actually really pushing their body, because that's all you can concentrate on. Because talk me through that, because I know you do work with lots of young people as well as adults as well.
Yeah.
But where do you see exercise fitting in with the whole
So
mental health talk?
I'm really glad you asked that question. And how long have we got? So
Keep going.
um, mental health at the moment is huge. Like it's growing at a scary velocity. For one, we've got 451 members as it stands, so we're quite big. Out of the 450 of them, 40 of them fight. So 10% of our kickboxers, martial artists, compete. So there's 400 people that come to us for fitness, mental health, stress, depression, anxiety, issues with their family. I literally could go on. So 90% of our people aren't here to fight. They're not here to get in the ring and be a kickboxer and knock someone out. They're here to escape. I would have said 60% of our members are children. 40% of that group are teenagers, just to give you a kind of rough idea of where the numbers are sitting. And I mean, I love what we do, but it generally scares me when some of the stories that parents come to us on a daily basis, we've brought them to you because they're struggling with mental health, they're suicidal, they're getting bullied at school, they've got eating disorders, they're bored, etc., etc. I literally could go on forever about this. So it's not about being a kickboxer. It's about, for an hour or 2 hours a week, escaping from life, escaping from school, escaping from your phone. So there's no phones in the gym, or they're on silent in the corner. Do you know what I mean? Like, we don't allow, to do a warm up and then go and check your phone. It's like, get off your phone. You're here to train. So it's an hour of even for me, if I'm teaching, not my phone 99% of the time. And it's about escaping from the world. So we get parents go, they've got their exams, they need to study. Now, what they need is an hour a week, 2 hours a week. I'm sure you can afford that out of your 160 hours, to disconnect get some anger out, get some frustration out, get your heart and lungs working, get a sweat on, and just have a
Mm.
bit of fun. Do you know what I mean? Like, we try and make our classes obviously structured,
Yeah.
but we make them fun. They're not just stand in a line and do this for an hour. And it's about that escape. So again, the amount of parents that come to us, the amount of relationships we've saved because they got stagnant or bored, or they're in a rut. And then, like, we've got 60% women, 40% men. So again, people will expect kickboxing to be male dominated. And don't get me wrong, there are clubs that are male dominated, but we've got 60% female membership, which again tells you something huge against the narrative. So knowing that any of our members can come, escape for an hour. I mean, some of them train 10 hours a week, some train an hour a week, but they can come, they can escape, and they can be their full authentic self. They can get out whatever worries that are in there. Like for me, when I was at school, I'd have 6 hours of hell at school. Do you know what I mean? Like my dyslexia, the bullying, just struggling academically. But for that 6 hours, I could go, well, I'm going to the gym later, so I can punch something. I'm going to go and let it out. So I could allow it to bottle up, because when I went to the gym, I could release it. Now, we all know when you're angry, when you're stressed, you want to punch something. Like kids do it all the time, like, and hit a wall or punch the mate or whatever. When you know that you can release later on that day or tomorrow, right, I'm having a bad day, but tomorrow I can go and punch something. And it doesn't have to be punching something. It can be running, it can be swimming, it can be golf, it can be football. It doesn't matter what. The difference is when you're playing football, if you punch someone, you get sent off. You're meant to get sent off, right? If you're doing ballet, if you punch someone, you're definitely in the wrong room. But it's no secret. Striking releases endorphins. Punching something, kicking something releases that. So for me, this is the perfect mix of getting out your head, being fit and healthy, being around like-minded people that want to train. But we do punch and kick each other. So, like swimming, you're going to get wet if you go swimming. In kickboxing, eventually you will get punched and kicked. The difference is you're releasing that energy, you're releasing that anger. Endorphins will naturally start to build within your body, which feel good. Same as chocolate, makes you feel good. Maybe not after 6 months.
No.
But it's the feeling you get when you punch something. When you get
it's instant gratification, isn't it?
Yeah, like after a couple of weeks and you start to get it and you hit a bag or pads and you get that. And I had a woman this morning. I've never padded her before because I don't normally take female only. Jenny does, but she's on holiday, so I took her class. I was padding her, and after about a minute or two, we sort of gelled the timing, the space, the range. And she's done like an uppercut hook cross, and she's hit the cross. And she went, I've never heard my cross sound like that. And I was like, and how does it make you feel? And she's like, I feel fucking amazing.
Yeah.
Oh. And she's like, and she said to me after, she went, I've made every excuse this morning not to come. The kids were screaming. She wouldn't, like, the child wouldn't get out of the car. It was raining. She got wet. She had to do the food shopping. She talked herself out of training about 10 times. And then she's like, I'm so glad I came. She went, I'm now going to go and do the shopping. I'm going to go and tidy the house. I'm going to get dinner ready for the husband later. And I'm ready for the day. And it was like 9:30, 9:45.
Yeah.
And it's just that, in reality, it's just that one little punch that just hit the spot. And she went, oh, that felt good. Do you know what I mean? And that's what you can probably tell I'm fairly passionate about my job.
Yeah, you're passionate about it, but you're right. People do talk themselves out of it, and it then becomes that vicious circle. If you're feeling a bit low, you should really go and do this, but then you talk yourself out of it, and then you feel even worse, and then you judge yourself because I shouldn't have talked myself. I should have gone. Actually pushing through and going to do those things, it's what we need. But it can be tough to go and do it. I guess, making a commitment, I guess, knowing that you're going to train and there's other people there and things like that. And, saying, right, don't want to let the team down as such and be there. That helps being a member. I guess when you feel part of something, part of a community, you feel like you want to go and do it for everyone else as well. Because I do find, actually, and going off piece a little bit, we tend to be very good at helping other people, much less so helping ourselves. I'll go out of my way to help someone else, but these things that are good for me, I make an excuse and put on the back burner.
Yeah. And I mean, you're 100% right. It's very easy to help someone else's issues, problems, because you're not emotionally attached to it.
Mm.
And people years ago, 15 years ago, when we started to grow, parents used to say to me, "Can you have a word with my kid?" And if I'm honest, I used to go, "You're their dad. You sort it out." But I
Yeah.
didn't say that. That's kind of what I thought. Like, why am I disciplining your child? Why do you expect me to look after your kid? I'm their kickboxing
Mm.
instructor. I'm not their dad or their mum. Do you know what I mean? And then as it's grown, I've actually made a massive turnaround. This is people obviously trust us enough to discipline their children. They respect us enough that they value what we say. And as we've done this more and more and more, people will say, like, we use you as leverage. Like, if you don't do your homework, we're going to tell Carl and Jenny or Callum or whoever is their coach, you need to eat healthy, or Jenny and Carl won't be happy about it. Do you know what I mean? But
Yeah.
to start with, I used to find that really weird. But it's easy for us to sort out other people's problems because we're not emotionally attached to it. So,
No.
for example, even with my children, when they have a bad day, someone else can probably sort it out better than me, which really hurts, by the way, because I'm dad. So, I'm emotionally attached. I will
Yeah.
have a deep feeling towards whatever it is, whether it be not
Yeah.
training, not eating a dinner, getting a new boyfriend, like whatever it is, you're emotionally attached to it. Whereas someone who's got that emotional touch will go, "Oh, we can think about this logically." So I think that's why, like, I could help your problems much better than I could help my problems.
Yeah. Yeah, that does make sense. I mean, exactly right when talking to your kids. I mean, straight away, my daughters are growing up. They're not quite teenagers, but they certainly, the older one does act like it. I start to say anything, you can almost see the eyes rolling of, "Oh, Dad, come on," Whereas someone else who, there might be that not that emotional attachment, but that respect for, so that a coach or something like that, actually the message is actually going to be listened to and understood, rather than thinking, "Oh, Dad's having another moan about something again." I guess
Yeah.
that's where it comes from.
Yeah. And that goes both ways with the emotional attachment as well. So, like, for example, I don't know, the kids don't want to go to school. You'll be like, "Oh, you've got to go to school." And they'll be like, "Oh, mum and dad's moaning again." Because they've got the
Yeah.
emotional attachment back to you.
Yeah.
Whereas if the neighbour says something to them, like, perfect example, I won't say who, but I witnessed someone trying to go to school and the kid didn't want to get in the car. Mum's going, "Look, come on, get in the car. We're going to be late. It's raining. You're getting wet. Get in the car. Don't want to go to school. Don't want to go to school." I was out, had my ears on walking. I kind of heard it. I slowed down. I kind of watched it for about 30 seconds as I was getting closer. And then I don't know why I did. I went, "Mate." He went, "What?" I went, "You got to go to school. It's where you learn. It's where you educate. You're getting wet. Your mum's getting wet. Why don't you just jump in the car so you're not getting wet? And then why don't you go to school so you don't get shouted at?" He went, "Okay." Really simple. I said it quite calmly, quite relaxed, but more
Yeah.
than anything, because I wasn't his parent, he
Yeah.
just listened. Whereas
Mm.
mum was like,
Yeah,
"Do you
yeah,
know
you
what I mean?"
almost become blind to it. I mean, I've seen it, and I've probably been in those situations where you're having that argument, and actually both of you are just arguing about something completely pointless. You just neither of you want to back down. Um, so there's no rational argument in there. You're just trying to hold your ground.
Yeah,
But actually, someone else coming in and just breaking that cycle actually can help things move
yeah.
forward.
And it's logical. You're getting wet. You're both getting wet.
Mm,
You're going to be late for school. Get in the car. It's
yeah.
not difficult. It's not
No.
difficult. Shut up moaning. Get in the car.
So what do you do for yourself? You've said you try and take a break. I mean, is training one of your things that help keep you a nine?
100%. I have to train. So any more than 4 days off of training, and the only reason I say 4 days is because I've just done 4 days.
Yeah.
Normally, I'd say to you 2 days. Um, so I actually go to a different gym so I can train, believe it or not, because when I'm here, I used to train here and I'd be on the bags. "Carl, can you do this for us?" "Yeah, go on then." And then I'll make excuses not to train and work
Yeah.
because I really care about my business. Or I'll come to the gym 2 hours early to do a workout. And then people will turn up an hour and a half early. "Oh, Carl, can I have a quick chat?" And because I don't like saying that, yeah, of course you can. So I've now joined a different gym. I own my own gym, but I train at a different gym, so I can get
Yeah.
my training in. So I can put in my headphones,
Yeah.
I can switch off, and I can do my training. So I can choose whether to speak to people, but I'm just a member at a gym training. I'm not
Yeah.
owner of HKA. Do you know what I mean? So I can choose if I want to be chit chatting, or if I can choose to stick my ears in, switch off, and sort my shit out. So training is so important. I still train with my team as well. So when my fighters are in, I'll teach, but I also train. So I'm still doing 600, 800 calories a session, roughly. So I'm still active. I don't just stand in a corner and say punch bags and do this. I'm there with them sweating.
Yeah.
But I also, one of my other really big wins for me is not only training, but like re-educating myself. And I've only really learned this in the last 5 years. So I've read 2 books in my whole life up until last year. Like, so in 40 something years, I've read 2 books.
Yeah.
And then this year I've read 3. Now, some people are, you've only read 3 books this year, but I've read more books this year than I've read in my whole life. And that's not an exaggeration. I'm not a good reader. Like, the cat sat on, that's what my reading's like. So it takes me a while. But I've listened to about 40 audiobooks. So the gym for me is put the ears in, listen to a book. And what I'm doing is I'm educating myself on finances, on education, on fitness, on health and well-being, on mentorship, on family, being a better dad, working with my dyslexia, all this kind of stuff. I'm learning through books, but it's not just about listening to about the book. It's about being the book as well. So it's all right going, well, I know this knowledge, but if you do nothing with it, what's the point? So it's literally been since I've got a mentor and I've joined a mastermind and I've started to re-educate myself on, because what I realized, or what I didn't realize, was I was a really good instructor, or I believe I'm a good instructor. I'm really good at motivating people, but I didn't really know anything about business.
No.
So as it grew, I was like, well, it just kind of works. People used to say to me, like, how, what's your strategy? What's your 5-year goal? What's your KPIs and your RIOs and all this kind of stuff? I can't even say it. And I'm like, I don't know. I just turn up, teach kickboxing. It's wicked. And everyone goes home.
Yeah.
And then I joined a mentorship group and he was like, you really need to start learning a bit more about the structure. And I'm like, nah, it'll be all right. And then I started to learn. I thought, this is really important. This is actually really good. And since I've joined this group, we've doubled our membership. We've tripled our facilities. We've got a 7,000 square foot facility now. We've got 5 full-time members of staff and 15 part-time members of staff. But I couldn't cope without them now. But I wouldn't have took them on if I didn't learn about the business. So I would have burnt out, had a meltdown, probably shut the business because I couldn't have coped. Couldn't have helped all the families that we help. We couldn't deliver what we deliver now. We deliver 35 classes and about 35, 40 PTs a week. I cannot do that by myself.
No.
Whereas 5 years ago, I was like, yeah, of course I can. No problem. But I can't. But since I've let go, since I've built the team, since I've started to trust in other people, what's happened is I'm like, if I'm honest, like Callum is better than me at teaching the cadets, as an example. Now, to start with, that really hurt. But I've learned, well, actually, no, he's good because we've taught him. Jenny is the best with tots and juniors. Like, there is no better other instructor than her. But when I used to take it, I was like, well, no, I'm the best. I'm the peacock. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm learning that there are people better than me at certain things. Like, I hate paperwork. So I've got an ops manager that does all my paperwork and she's amazing at it.
Yeah.
I don't want to do paperwork. I won't show you the rest of my desk. But I've learned, so if people are watching this that run their own business, and again, 5 years ago, I was the cleaner, I was the teacher, I was the instructor, I was the finance, I was the bookie. I was front of house, back of house, like you name it, I had the hat.
Every role. Yep.
Every role. And my mentor went, you need to get an ops manager and you need to get other people. And I'm like, no, I'll clean the mats. Well, why are you cleaning the mats? Well, because no one else will do it. There are people that will clean. There are people that love cleaning, believe it or not. So we have a cleaning company that come in at like 6 o'clock in the morning before we open, but they love cleaning the gym.
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong, I like cleaning, but I don't skip to work at 5:30 in the morning going, yeah, I get
No.
mops, and that's not me. My missus, she loves spreadsheets. She loves data.
Yeah.
So I get her to do all our data stuff.
Yep.
I mean, I enjoy it, but I don't love it.
No.
So I get people that are better than me to do what they're really good at. So I can then focus on what I'm good at, building the business, building a team, teaching the higher level students, and motivating the staff to be a 10 out of 10, to be the best that they can be.
It's such a game changer, isn't it, for business owners when they realize, actually, I'm a really good technician. I'm really good at my job, but I've never actually been taught how to run a business, because none of us are. And there's so many areas, but like you say, you mentioned finance or, KPIs or any sort of data. Like, actually, we're just used to doing that, the role that we're good at. And I think this is where lots of people change from being employed into running their own business, thinking it's just going to be like, oh, I'm just going to carry on doing my job, but maybe earn some more, not realizing there's so much more to running a business than just turning up and delivering whatever it is you do for that end customer, and yeah, working with other people to support you, reading, learning. Yeah, I think as business owners, we've got to act like sponges, because there
Mhm.
comes that moment, doesn't there? You're probably similar to me, that, like you say, you're walking around like the peacock. I'm the man, I know this, I run the business, and that. And you suddenly realize, actually, I don't know shit. and and you
Yeah,
have to sort of start learning.
yeah. And it's that learning that has allowed us to grow, because people say, how do you manage? 5 years ago, I managed because I got up at 5 a.m. I started work at 5:10. I finished work at midnight, and everyone's like, let me do the math. I'm like, yeah, that's right. Over 100-hour weeks,
Yeah.
like 7 days, like non-stop. But again, my mentor went, you need to sort it out. You're burning out. My wife was like, you can't keep doing this. You can't get up at 5 o'clock in the morning, do an hour of paperwork, go and do your PTs, run the classes. You cannot do it. My brothers are going, look, you're doing an amazing job, Carl, and you're more motivated than anyone that I know, but you cannot continue this level of drive. And this is really interesting. When I joined this group, my mentor went, you need an ops manager. And I went, I can't afford an ops manager. There's not enough money in the company to have someone do what I do.
Mm.
And he went, you can't afford not to have one.
Yeah.
And I was like, I've never heard it like that. This is new to me.
Yeah.
Because I was like, we don't have, at the time, we didn't have the spare money to pay someone effectively what I do. Paperwork, the organisation, the running, the day-to-day running, the fire checks, all of that kind of stuff. I do it,
Yeah.
I'll keep doing it, and I'll save the money. But by getting Kaz in, she does 36, 38 hours a week. She normally works about 45, bless her. But by her doing all of that, that's freed me up 40 hours a week, probably 60 hours a week. She does it quicker than me now, to
Yeah.
then work on other sides of the business and other ideas and projects. And then since that's happened, I've now learned, well, I need a front of house manager, because, our like on a busy night, we can have like 120 people through the door. So that's a big workflow. That's a lot of people signing in. That's a lot of people, wanting to chat and buy t-shirts and ask about fight next week and grading next month. I can't have them conversations and sell and get people in the class and start the class. Like,
No.
can't happen anymore. So we've got a really well-oiled machine. Don't get me wrong. I'd like it. Of course, I'd like it to be smoother, but we always want it to be smoother. But as a
Yeah.
rule,
We're always searching for that next bit of improvement. And you said about the 1% earlier, didn't you? And actually,
yes,
just a 1% change, every week or whatever, it adds up to a massive consequence at the end. Everyone thinks that the change has to be big, but actually, just 1% better every day or every week
yeah,
gets you there.
like so. This is something else I've learned recently. That 1% change. I can't remember what the book is called now. But
Is it
it's
Atomic
about
Habits? Is it the James
Atomic
Clear
Habits.
Atomic
Yeah,
Habits?
yeah,
Yeah.
great book.
Yeah.
But the 1%, if you can change 1% a day, even 1% a week, whether that be diet, whether that be training, whether that be within a relationship with your husband or wife or your children, 1%, if you can make that once a week, that's 52% over the year.
Yeah.
So and again, the analogy, isn't it? If a plane flies from London to New York and it flies off by 1%, it lands up in like Vegas or
Yeah.
somewhere
Yeah.
like the
Yeah.
really wrong place. And it's only a 1%. And this will go back to that balance, like course correct. So, that 1%, I'll get up, I'll go to the gym. Oh, I can't be bothered because it's raining. That's that 1% knock. Oh, I didn't go to the gym. I'll have a chocolate bar. Or I go to Costa and have a mocha with cream. 1%.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Oh, I'm going to meet my brother for lunch. I'm going to have something not healthy, or I'll have a donut with whatever. Another 1%. And it's about just course correcting and getting back. And if you can make a 1% positive change rather than a negative change, so you go to the gym in the morning, you do an extra rep, we do an extra 5 minutes on the treadmill. At 1% over the week, over the year, over the 10 years, I'll be honest, right? I've got dangerously high cholesterol. I train 6 days a week, 4 or 5 hours a day. I do 15,000 steps every day on a lazy day.
Right.
I've trained for over 30 years of my life, and my cholesterol is dangerous. So the reason I've joined this other gym is to lower my cholesterol. Now, sauna, I murder myself in the sauna because it's a good way of lowering your cholesterol with many other things.
Yeah.
But I've managed to knock it from above 10, let's just say, like, which is critically you're going to die, apparently, from the doctors. And I'm down to like 6.5. And I've done that through diet, and I've done that through going to the sauna, and I've done that through changing my life. Now, I don't want to die at 50 with a heart attack. The doctors were like, you've got to go on statins. I'm like, no, I'm going to do this naturally. I'm going to do my best.
Yeah.
So for me, it's that 1% every day to try and improve. Now, it's taken 2.5 years to get it from above 10 down, and I still want to get it lower, but it doesn't happen overnight. You don't just clear your arteries for fun.
No.
You know what I mean? Both, like, my granddad had a quadruple heart bypass. My dad's now got heart condition. So I will do everything in my power for the next 5 years to try and make myself as fit and healthy internally.
Yeah.
Which is much harder than external, by the way. Because I don't want to die. But I also refuse to take medication for it. And that's just my personal belief. If I can do it naturally with change of lifestyle, change of diet, change of gym, then that's what I'm going to do. And if it costs me a bit of time and money to do it, then that's what I've got to do.
Yeah, I mean, there's a big thing around that. I mean, whether we delve into it, but certainly with medication, you're sort of, trying to, I guess, fix the problem without actually looking at what the cause is. And actually, if you can start to undo it by changes in your lifestyle, changes in your diet, and this comes for lots of illnesses, and I'm not a doctor. This isn't medical advice, but certainly if you can make some, better choices around that, actually you don't just need to try and fix the problem. You're actually working on a solution to what's causing this.
I'll revert back to mental health. Like, the amount of doctors, and it's close to home, the amount of doctors that I'm having a bad day or I'm stressed, take these antidepressants. Well, obviously there's a level of depression, and I'm not knocking people being depressed, by the way. And, there's a scale of 1 to 10. But effectively, the drug, like you say, it's not fixing the problem. It's just working with the issue.
Yeah,
Whereas,
sort of masking it or doing something. Yeah, the underlying issue is still there.
Exactly. So we try and work with that. So why are you depressed? And again, if this offends anyone, I'm really sorry, but like, we're quite blunt, we're quite open. So I will try my best to be empathetic, but we'll also, okay, why are you depressed? Well, I don't like school. Well, I don't know many people that do like school. So, okay, let's dig. Why don't you like school? Well, the kids to me, it mean. Okay, well, why are they mean? Well, they just bully me. Okay, well, what do you mean they bully you? Well, they call you names. Okay, well, I don't think that's a reason to go on antidepressants. Now, I'm not saying it's nice, and I'm not saying it's pleasant, and parents will be emotional, but it's a bit hard to sound a podcast. But if we jump forward a month, if a child can come to kickboxing and feel confident and healthy and strong, release endorphins so they feel good, they get positive motivation. Oh, that was a good punch. That was a good kick. Well done. You're doing really well. Rather than you're an idiot, you're stupid, you're ugly, you're fat, whatever, you're skinny, you're tall, you're short, you're fat, you're thin, whatever, you're bald, you're ginger, you've got crooked teeth. The kids are mean. But if we can get them to feel good, oh, that feels good. Oh, yeah, I feel good. I feel strong. I feel happy. It's that, oh, I feel good. So instantly we've turned their internal thoughts. Now, parents might not understand this, but I'm going to just be honest. The children come here, they learn kickboxing, non-contact. Once they're comfortable, non-contact, we then start adding a bit of contact. And then believe it or not, our bodies are really resilient. We're really strong. So once you've learned how to stand, how to be in a guard, how to get hit, once you learn not to flinch if someone's trying to hit you, once you learn that you guard, and, if you watch any fight, you think, why have they get hit that hard? So once and this takes months, by the way, not weeks. After 6 months, they start to spar and they get punched and kicked. No, they pay to come and get punched and kicked, right?
Yeah.
And then we've got some videos of some of our more advanced. They're like 8 or 9-year-old girls, and they're getting hit in the stomach, and they're going, harder, harder. No, hit me harder, hit me harder. Now, someone calling you names, yes, it's not very nice, and yes, it's mean, and I'm not saying it should happen, but it does. But if they can take being punched and kicked for fun, someone at school going, you've got curly hair, you've got crooked teeth, you're ginger. Like, who cares? I get kicked in the face for fun, and I enjoy it. So a kid poking, pushing, being a bit mean, to a student that is reasonably good at martial arts. And again, karate, judo, jiu-jitsu, there's loads of clubs in Hastings or the world. We're not the only club. But if they're strong enough to get hit and smile, if the school bully comes up to them and slaps them or punches them or kicks them or whatever, and they go, is that it? You're meant to be the school bully. You're meant to be the tough one. Is that it? The bully will just walk off. Like bullies pick on victims. So again, I know some parents might listen to that and go, "Oh, that's a bit strong." Your kid's not going to come into the first class and get punched in the face. It's not how it works. No. But in 6 months' time, if they're enjoying it, they are. But they're going to enjoy it, and they're going to understand how strong they are, how resilient they are. So actually, they don't need drugs. They don't need counselling for 15 years. And again, I'm not knocking counsellors, but we work with counsellors, we work with CAMS, we work with the council, and I can hand on heart say that we've had over 100 parents say to us, you've made more of a difference in 3 months than the counsellor has, than the drugs have, than the CAMS have. And I'm not knocking them, because they are a really good service and they are really, really needed, especially now. But we do get commented on how much we change people's lives without medication, without going over the past and dealing with the future. We've all got pasts. We've all had tough lives. I've been through a divorce. In my head, lost my children. Didn't lose them, but I wasn't putting them to bed every night. I had to go and live in a caravan, blah, blah, blah. I've had some shit times. My mum left me when I was 17. I've not seen her in 25 years. Do you know what I mean? Like, I've had a bit of grief. I got thrown through a window at school. I got hit with chairs. I got battered on the way home with bats. Like, people didn't just call me names. Do you know what I mean? But you can't live in the past. You can't look at it. Happened. It sucked.
Yeah.
It made me stronger. Let's crack on with what is going to happen tomorrow.
Yeah. I mean, getting your mindset. Yeah, no, that's good, because it is about getting your mindset right around that, because there does come a point, doesn't there, when, and I've heard this said, all of us are dealing with some shit from our past, some childhood trauma, some things that have happened, that there comes a point when you almost have to stop using that as the excuse. You need to deal with it now. It's happened. How do you move forward? How do you learn to live with that? What do you need to do to move forward, rather than letting that hold you back? Because it is still there. It's there, whether it's going to hold you back or allow you to move forward. You might as well have it there and move forward. But a lot of that is working with your head around reframing it and and like you say, that
Yeah.
having better self-belief. Would you say self-belief is the big one?
Yeah. Yeah. And it doesn't matter if it's nursery, going to school, going to college, getting a job, meeting a partner. You've got to believe in yourself. Like if you're going in the ring to fight, you can't go in the ring and go, oh, well, I might lose today. I didn't train very hard and he looks pretty good. I might get beaten up. If that's your mindset, you're going to get beaten up.
Yeah.
And the difference with any striking sport is, you're going to get punched and kicked. So you've got to go in being positive. You've got to go in believing in yourself. And I feel that trait can go into everything in life. I can't walk to school because the school bullies, or the teacher doesn't like me, or I don't know where to line up in the dining room because I don't know where the food is, or how many children won't pick up one of them? Have you noticed that? The phone's ringing,
Yeah.
pick it up. I can't answer that. What do you mean? It's a phone. Pick it up. No, I can't. What? What's going to happen? Someone's going to talk to you.
Yeah.
The amount of children that, because they're so text, Snapchat, Instagram, DM, like just having a conversation like this, like looking someone in the eye. How are you? Have you had a good day? What have you been up to? How do I get a job? Like, where do I fill out the paperwork? Like simple questions. Children really struggle with. One of the things we do in our talks, which is so powerful, is the start of every class. They're 3 years old. They're 4 years old. They have to stand in their stance, be strong, be powerful, be confident, put their hands up and say their name. So we get them in a circle. John, Sarah, Kelly, whatever their names are. But if they can't say their own name out loud to a group of strangers, like that's their name, they live with it, they own it, they're going to have it their whole life. So if they can't go, my name is Carl, like they're screwed.
Own yourself, own the good bits, but also own your imperfections. Like you say, if someone says to me, "Oh, you're bald," yeah. and
Stress of having a business.
Your point being, or whatever it is. But also then, owning when actually someone's saying something that isn't true. Because we very much take on the negative, don't we? If someone says, "Oh, you're stupid," you suddenly feel like, "Oh, well, I'm stupid." But actually, if someone said to me, "Can't stand your blue hair," I'd be like, "Well, I haven't got blue hair." So like, I don't believe it. So if you say I'm stupid, well, same thing. Well, I'm not actually. So it hasn't let it affect me.
I'm doing all right. I'm doing all right. I, like you said, I was watching TV the other day. So my switch off at night, right? My switch off is work busy, get home, shower, dinner. About 9:30, my switch off is watch a bit of junk TV. I don't watch the news, but I need an hour to decompress. So my hour is sit down with the wife, chill out, and we'll watch, I don't know, Blow Deck or what's the Married at First Sight, stuff like that. Do you know what I mean? Just trash TV.
Just
I don't like
TV,
it, but it means that I don't have to think or observe, right?
Yeah.
And I was watching this program the other day, and this girl's gone, "Yeah, it's really bad. I've had a really tough life. I was diagnosed with dyslexia." And I'm like, I'm not knocking anyone who's dyslexic, because if you see my handwriting and how I spell numbers, letters, upside down, back to front, the teachers used to go, "Oh," because back then you couldn't say to a phone, "Spell this," or "Hey Siri, how do you spell this?" or autocorrect it. It was like, we get the first 3 letters and look through the dictionary. I'm like, I don't even know the first 2 letters. Is it CH, SH, SI? I don't know. Like, I couldn't get the first 2 letters. So I was the thicko. I was the div. I was never diagnosed as dyslexia, but if you look at the evidence, I'm 100% there. And it's not I wasn't diagnosed, I don't struggle, but I've learned to deal with it. But it's kind of like my superpower. Don't ask me to write an email. That's why I pay Kaz to do them. But I use that to my advantage. I don't use it as a negative. I don't use it as it's the driving force in me to make sure I do the best at what I can in whatever it is. So if someone says we need to write an email to a school, I'll write the basis of it, and then my ops manager will then turn it into English.
Yep.
and then we'll send it on. So I'll write it if I need to, but it's not my superpower. But I've got superpowers elsewhere.
Yeah.
And children nowadays are so pigeonholed, and they struggle so much. And I just wish I could send this out to people and go, look, so it doesn't matter if you can't read or write. If you can read and write, it will make things much better. If a teacher said to me 20 years ago, Carl, you need to read and write properly because it's going to help. Because when you run your kickboxing school, which will be massive, you're going to need it. I was like, I just want to train and be a kickboxer, and I want to help everyone, and I want to spread love into the world, and I want people to be a 10 out of 10. That's what I'm good at. I don't need English. But someone said to me, yeah, but when you're working with a school and you need to email a school and say, this is Carl at Hastings Kickboxing and this is what you can do, I'm like, oh, I hadn't thought about that. If you want to be a professional footballer, a dancer, a swimmer, you still need English and maths. But no one explained it to me that way. So I'm like, okay, if someone had said to me, as a martial artist, you will need literacy, I might have listened a little bit harder.
Yeah, reframing it. Yeah.
Yeah, rather than just going to the gym and training. And so reframing my skill, right? I don't know where I was going with that, but we have so many children that are really struggling academically. So therefore they feel like they're failing, and therefore they carry that failure into life. So we try and re-engineer that and go, you're really good at punching. You're really good at kicking. You're always smiling. You're actually pretty good. So, okay, might not be very good at reading, but you're good at this. So have that feeling that you're good. And then you can start to carry that feeling into something else. Now, of course, people out there that struggle with reading or writing, or struggle with academic, or struggle with the system, it just means that system's not built for them. Like, we've got a member, I won't say his name. He's 14 and he's got a business of, I think he said 25 grand a year. He's 14. He's got business, 25 grand. Do you know what I mean? So, okay, he might not be the best student, but he's definitely got a brain to
he's got
make
something.
money.
Yeah.
And surely we go to school to learn to make money to pay a mortgage.
Yeah. It's very true that we're all very different, yet we all go through the same system. And actually it doesn't necessarily suit all of us because we're all different. Yeah, there's no, I mean, what that system looks like, taking that into account, I don't know. You know, that's a much bigger question. But it's clear that just because you're not the strongest in a certain area doesn't mean you're not going to be strong in another area. It's just, you know, find what you're good at. And clearly you've done that. And actually the way you've adapted your business to bring other people in to support you on the bits that, you know, you've admitted, actually, they're not my strongest area and I don't enjoy them as much. Actually, other people do. Get them in and take that. So I guess to finish off today, because this has been a great conversation, like what advice would you give to someone who is maybe thinking about going into business or is thinking about following a passion that maybe you didn't consider 15 years ago? What do you wish you'd known 15 years ago?
Education is key. And that wasn't explained to me enough at school. So if you've got a passion, go for your passion. So again, I was told that, you know, martial arts isn't a job, isn't a real business. It will never make money. It's a stupid thing to follow, which was the driving force I needed to say, actually, I'm going to go for it. So if you believe in something, don't let anyone else knock you off course, because everyone will have a thought about it. If you 100% believe in your heart that you can do it, then go for it. Now, living on the moon, you know, do you know what I mean? There are levels to how far, but if you think you can run your own business, it doesn't matter what. If you think you can do it, then do everything in your power to go and do that. I've learned recently to learn from people that are better than you. So I used to want to be the cleverest person in the room because I've always been stupid. So if I'm the best in the room, then okay, cool.
Makes you feel good. Yep.
100%. But what I've learned is you want to be the stupidest person in the room, right? Because that means everyone's better than you. And that's how you learn. If you want to be a world champion kickboxer, you need to go and learn from multiple world champion. Your dad's not going to teach you. Oh, my dad used to do boxing as a kid. Well, is he a world champion? No, he's not the one to teach you. So if it's learning about finances, then you need to go and sit with an accountant or someone who's good with finances, someone who runs their own businesses and has multiple businesses that are doing well. Never take financial advice from someone who's bad with money. But ironically, they're the ones that always wanted to try and give you advice, right?
Yeah.
If you want to be a black belt, don't learn from a red belt. You know, if I want to be a black belt in jiu-jitsu, I'm going to go and learn from Paul Bridges because he's, in my head, the best in the town at jiu-jitsu. So if I want to be good at jiu-jitsu, I'm going to go and learn from him, not from YouTube or my mate who's a red belt. I'm going to learn from the best. Is it going to cost more money? Yes, but that's how you get there quicker. So you save money in the long run. So learn from experts. Don't let other people knock you off course. If it's a business that you're passionate about, it will be one of the biggest stresses in your life, but it will also be one of the most rewarding things of your life as well. So I have worked 100-hour weeks. And if you said, go to Tesco's and work 100 hours or work for BT, you wouldn't. But when it's your own business, you will. Caveat to that is, it's not really like going to work. Like, I don't feel like coming to work. So today, staff are off, I'm in. So I'm in on my day off, but I don't care because I love it. Teaching the female only, I love it. I'm going to teach the kids later. I love it. It's not like working. It's not like 17 years at BT going, I've got a manager telling me I need to go and work in the rain and join these fibre optic cables. So it doesn't feel like work if it's your passion. And then get mentorship, get someone who's better than you to teach you quicker so you can get there faster. If I'd done that 20 years ago, who knows where I would be now. And believe in yourself. Believe in yourself, like 100% authentically. Don't lie to yourself. Believe in yourself. And if you are lying to yourself, you're probably looking at the wrong thing or going the wrong way. Is that enough?
Yeah, that is superb. God, thank you so much for your insights today. You know, we've had a great conversation. We went quite deep in the middle there. But you know, I just wish you all the best with your business. I'm excited to see what you bring to the table next year. I'll certainly be following along. And
Thank you.
yeah, if this has resonated with anyone, then you know, go and join your local martial arts class. You know, if you're in the Hastings area, go and see Carl. But yeah, get yourself involved, get your kids involved, and because this is good, not just for your physical health, but your mental health as well. I think that's a big takeaway today. So
thank you. That's very, very kind of you to say. I do appreciate it. And it does matter. Like, our oldest member is 82. Just to give an example, like if you're going, I'm 40 and I'm too old. 82, still kickboxing. Admittedly, not going to be a world champion, but still here training, still sweating, still enjoying life. And same for you, mate. Like, I really appreciate the time, really appreciate the interview, the chat. So, again, there wasn't a structure, was there? We just said, look, let's just get online and chat. And I really hope this has helped, even if it's just one person. It's helped me. Do you know what I mean? Conversations like this, always you open up and you start unpacking, don't you? So
yeah.
You know, I've enjoyed it, so it's been good. And I love what you're doing as well, mate. So you talk to some really good people, so keep doing that.
I appreciate that. Carl, enjoy the rest of your day.
Yeah, thank you, Andrew.
Thank you for tuning in to this episode of the Balanced Ambition podcast. I genuinely hope the stories inspire you as much as they inspire me. If you found value in today's conversation, please share it with a friend. And remember, by subscribing, you won't miss an episode, and it would truly mean the world to me. Stay balanced, and I'll see you next time.